Welcome to Omar Al-Habshi's advanced modeling in the game engine. What you see on screen is the high poly 3ds Max build of my character. The reason I built it in 3ds Max to begin with, to make it easier on the sculpting later on in ZBrush for the detail. Also another reason is because I've slightly followed the guideline Unreal Epic Games put in the artist character modeling volume 2. I went into extensive detail trying to make my character realistic, and for the hair I tried to mimic that of the female character in Uncharted 2. The process of creating this hair was not so simple to begin with, but with a little help with the screen capture and Photoshop, the creating process became easier. That I could achieve this, I was planning on making the hair more puffed out, sort of like Lightning's hair from Final Fantasy 13. As for the face detail, I used ZBrush to mask out the lips and eyebrows and sculpt in the skin detail, as well as later on adding detail, inverting the masking and adding detail to the eyebrow and the lips. As for color scheme, I thought of a few things, but this is basically a sketch that outlines which area would be colored in which way. I was planning on using suede material for the corset and the arm, the thicker arm part, as well as the front of the skirt. And for the smaller bits, I was planning to using on leather /PVC style thing. As for the fabrics, for the blouse it would be cotton, as is the gloves, but for the skirt and the rest of the arm it would have been satin, playing with the specular maps and so on. From there I built the low poly. Unfortunately, this is all I could achieve with the low poly. Some of the main difficulties I faced was the gears, these cogs that holds the belt in place. Originally I was going to integrate it to part of the shoes, however it would look too flat, so I created it by having multiple planes on top of each other. Here is a render of the low poly legs I created. Notice how the gears on the shoes look quite good, and I think solved one of the harder issues in converting my high poly into a low poly. I tried to be as efficient as possible with the unwrap space. This is the opacity map for the character. Here is the normal map for the character. As you can see, extensive detail has been put into this. I used X normals to after decimating my high poly from ZBrush to project it all down to the low poly, which I created as closely as possible without using more tries than I needed to. Overall, the legs only used 1,200 tries, leaving far more try count for the rest of the body, and more specifically the head, which I noticed in many games used by itself used more than 1,000 tries for the face and hair. So that would be a challenge later on. The netting on the leg was achieved by using the UV Master Unwrap tool in ZBrush and then using Photoshop to create the pattern and pasting over it enough that it created a very good effect in the end. As you see, this is a screen capture of the leg, and this is a screen capture of the arm. As you can tell, with the lower part there's a lot of detail, artistic detail added in. I wanted it to be more authentic Victorian. At first I wanted to be like embroidered and so on. However, I think by going with the satin route and the slight difference in elevation, for a character anyway, I could get away with a slightly lower quality texture. For the hat, it's created as a normal hat to begin with. However, I decided to add seams and patterns, as well as adding the Seud texture, which is partly that of leather, but it's light enough and in an inverted way that it could get away with the as a Seud material. In between, I wanted it to have wool, so I used two different brushes to create this effect in ZBrush. Textured correctly, it hopefully will look like a wool. This is the baked low poly. Once again, as you can see, the gear works quite well as a three plane on top of each other. It captured it quite well. Obviously, in the baking process, I had to break the low poly down, so it would only project it on one thing and not be confused and try to project it 3 times into the same normal space, which is why if you look at the unwrap, there's only one gear and so on. Here is the sculpt that I could load of the skirt, which I have not completed. As you can see, I spent quite a lot of time detailing it, making it artistic and what I consider to be logical and realistic. I have not textured it, therefore to achieve that level, that precise level of realism, it's still quite far. However, I implemented all the logic that you would find in real life, from the seams to the lace holes and the ribbons, and on top of that, like some artistic Victorian patterns going around all over the place for it. However, for this entire character, I only used 2 types of artistic patterns and 3 types of surface pattern, which is the suede and the leather. As you can see, this moves. The suede is slightly different to the leather. The leather is more concentrated and more clustered, while the suede isn't. Sorry about that. So overall, for this character, I do wish I could finish it, but however, circumstances did not allow me this time around. I hope this video helped you understand where I was going with the character. Thank you for watching.